Hey everybody, I'm Justin Bohn,
I'm Mike Val.
and this is the Bohn N Zano Zone, where we are always on the lanes, off the charts, and on the mic.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bohn N Zano Zone podcast. Hope you all are having a wonderful Thursday evening. Mike, how was your day today?
Really wasn't too bad. Didn't really do anything today. You know what I did? I went to the bicycle store.
Really? You got a bike?
Well, I ordered my bike like 2 weeks ago, and I think I was telling you this, that there's so much on back order, so it's hard to find one. So it came in because Monday is the big day.
Monday's the big day. You're starting with Amleto.
Monday is the big day, so I will start training with Amleto on Monday. So we will do. We're doing video calls, and he's already sent me a couple of things, and he sent me a live workout of him, which was just nuts. So yeah, we will be starting. So we can even track it on here about how my progress is. But Amleto is going to absolutely start beating me up on Monday.
Oh God. Well, my day today, we became not homeless anymore.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we started packing the trailer, packing the truck. We got another car packed, so we're hopefully start moving things into the new house tomorrow.
It was a pretty crappy day too. It rained all day by us.
It was like drizzling. It wasn't like really too bad for us.
Yeah, it was just that pain in the neck rain, like that mist and crap.
Yeah, it wasn't really that bad though. It was on and off mist, but
yeah, it was doable.
Nothing that stopped Parker Bohn from packing a trailer.
No, there's nothing stopping Parker.
No, but before we get into our show today, we do want to remind everybody that this Saturday night at 6 o'clock, we will be having some breaking news with a new BuddiesProShop.com staffer. So if you want to know who that new staffer is, please join us Sunday night at 6 o'clock for the live announcement.
Yep, and Chris is giving the giveaway Saturday night too, so you want to stay tuned for that one. It's a good one. I know who it is.
I know who it is, but I can't say.
I'm not saying it either. So it's not the guy we have on today. That I can assure you.
No, it's not.
All right, so should we introduce him?
Without further ado, go ahead.
All right, so this is a local guy. We have a little local flavor today, Justin. So in keeping the trend of people that have kicked Mike's teeth in through the years, this was one. He did it all through JBTs as well. A 3-time College Bowler of the Year, 4-time All-American from Saginaw Valley State University, 7-time member of Team USA, a 12-time titleist on the tour, and also holds 10 regional wins. The 2005 Rookie of the Year. He also won the 2009-2010 U.S. Open, the reigning Players Champion as well. He's done it all. I mean, again, he's been kicking my teeth in for years. I don't think I've ever beat this guy, even in the amateur scene. The pride of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, future PBA Hall of Famer, the great Bill O'Neill. And there he is.
Hey, fellas, how are you?
What's up, Bill?
Just hanging out, enjoying another day cooped up in the house.
Oh, aren't we all?
We all are. So before we get into anything about you specifically, we want to talk about the league draft. You obviously did the stream with Flow Bowling. We were watching it as we were doing our own draft on our end. But how did that go, do you think, on your end? Not only, what's the word, being a commentator, if you will, and then also for your team going for the Strikers.
Yeah, doing the show as a commentator it was difficult. It's not really something I'm trained for, especially doing it virtually. So trying to adjust to all that with Lucas, and to we had it all kind of planned out where he would always ask the first question and then I would go in after that. But there was times where I kind of forget and I would want to ask something else or follow up, and there was a little bit of a delay, and then we would talk over each other, and so it was a little sloppy because of that. Probably mostly my fault, and so that was a little bit tricky. And then trying to find things to ask every single person that was drafted became a challenge, and maybe do it again next year and be a little bit more prepared. But it's definitely easier in person, and I would probably a lot more fun for me to do in person. But I think Flo did a great job with it. I think everything, worked out really well, and I think overall the night was a success for them. As far as our team goes, I think we did a nice job too. I think Norm was pretty happy that Brad Miller fell to us in the first round. I know he wanted him back, and then we didn't think Nick Pate would be there either on the way back. So we have a pretty well-rounded team, and I think Norm always seems to like to grab some of the younger guys to join us and try to groom them along and take them under his wing a little bit. So it's worked in the past, so hopefully we can get it done again.
So was this your first time ever doing like in the booth, something like that, like a commentating role? Or
I actually hosted the draft with Randy a time or two, and with Lucas, I believe, last year. But it was always in person, and so and there was no expansion team, so it went a little faster. More familiar with everybody that's being drafted, and when you can see everybody that's there, it's a different feel, and it's a little easier. I also commentated. I did one of the shows on CBS Sports when we were in Detroit, I believe. I think it was one of the Wolf shows. I think Darty might have won, maybe. Okay. And so I was like the third person in the booth with it was Dave Ryan and Randy. So that was pretty cool. So that was a lot of fun. So I'm getting more comfortable doing all those kind of things, and but just to quick do it virtually like that and switch it up was quite a bit different, trying to get the hang of the whole thing.
So is this like your career after bowling, maybe? Go and replace Randy?
Oh, no. No. I don't have the maybe there's another avenue for me in regards to that, but I don't see myself in the Randy role. I don't know if I could be as he's great with bringing energy and things like that. I would be more in the analyst type side, where he's doing the analyst stuff, but he's also bringing like a lot of energy and stuff. And I'm not sure that I would be I'm not sure I'd be great for that. So maybe there's a different avenue that I could pursue in regards to just talking for a living.
Yeah, gotcha. So don't want to talk more about the virus. I mean, we all know what's COVID is happening with the quarantine, and we're all locked down, but you're doing some good stuff with Pat Lucci over at Morrisville Lanes in PA. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? And I know you guys are taking donations, so you can tell our audience how to donate and what you guys are raising money for and whatnot.
Yeah, so Pat contacted me probably, for those of you who don't know, Pat Lucci owns Morrisville Lanes in Morrisville, PA, and he contacted me about, trying to just do something to help out and, get a little charity going for for some healthcare workers, and just, anything that we can do as a bowling community, even though, it might be small, any little bit helps. So I told him I was on board and I would donate, whatever he needed me to. So I think donating a shirt and pine ball, maybe even a blank ball too, whatever he needs. And then we're gonna, we set up him and John Dansbury set up a GoFundMe page. You can check it out on Morrisville Lane's Facebook page. They have it up there. You just click on the link and you can donate. I believe in increments of either $5 or $10, and that'll be the amount of chances that you're going to get in a drawing to win some of my stuff. And then a lot of local bowling centers have donated things. When we get through this quarantine and people want to go back to bowling, there's things that you can win from local bowling centers around. And I believe the drawing is going to be next Wednesday. So, we just get it in and donate anything you can, and try to win some cool stuff along the way.
Good stuff. I mean, and that's the whole point. We want to take care of everybody that's doing this, the frontline workers and whatnot. So let's get into it, Justin, shall we?
Go right in.
So, Bill, you kicked my teeth in for years bowling JBTs around here. I mean, it was just every week we'd bowl somewhere, and there's Bill and Neil in the top 5 again. And I'm bowling Bill in the finals, and I'm losing my 40.
I think every show, it's someone who
somebody's kicked my teeth in as a kid.
Every time it's brought up, someone kicked my teeth in. Someone kicked my teeth in. I mean,
yeah.
One day we'll get someone who you might actually have a chance against.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. And there's Dansbury plugging it. So anybody wants to donate from our audience, that's how you do it right there. But so Bill, you started bowling JBTs around here from PA. You're a local guy. We bowled in the same area. I think we might have bowled in college together. I went to Moorhead. I know you and Saginaw are probably the same time. How did you get started? Like, how did we start bowling JBT? What was your motivation, and how'd you end up in Saginaw out of all places instead of like a local school here?
Yeah, so JBTs, I bowled a couple my sophomore year of high school, maybe like less than 10 probably, and just kind of got my feet wet a little bit. And then, my junior year of high school, I started to compete, more and started to, do pretty well in high school bowling. And I wanted to just try my hand at something a little more, more competitive and get myself out there and get some more experience. So, JBTs are the greatest thing going for that. So I signed up and I bowl a lot of JBTs, mostly in PA and New Jersey, some in Delaware. And then my senior year is where I really took it on and bowled, both days, Saturday and Sunday, almost every weekend. Went everywhere, Connecticut and Maryland and all over the place. So, and it really made me who I am today, the JBTs. And it was, the greatest thing for me is to just get out there and compete at a super high level. There was a lot of really good bowlers, bowling JBTs and guys who were, PBA titleists that I ended up where I was bowling against as a kid. And it just, you just can't replicate that kind of experience in practice alone. So it really taught me how to adjust to different lane conditions. Even though we were mostly bowling on house shots, they're all different. So it was it was a great experience for me, and I certainly owe a lot of my success now to the JBTs.
Yeah, and you obviously were very successful. I know that, and Justin knows it as well. So post JBT, ended up in Saginaw in Michigan. What made you go up to Michigan? I mean,
yeah. So
were there any other schools like here? I mean, like good programs here and whatnot.
Yeah. So I graduated pretty young. I was only 17 when I graduated. So I was like, I really, talked over my family. I wasn't really ready to go away to school anywhere. So I went to community college for a year, and at that time I was really thinking about going to Temple, and at the time Temple had a decent bowling team, and a couple of guys from around my area were thinking about doing the same. I didn't get in. I didn't get accepted to Temple. I was not a smart kid not that I wasn't smart in high school. I just really put no effort in. So my SAT scores were bad. I was, and it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me because, then I finished out my year at community college, and I was talking a lot with Rob Pirashad, who is one of my best friends. I've known for a long time, and bowling JBTs. He went to Saginaw. His brother went there, and his brother went there because Brian Wildcheck was there, and that's kind of how it all happened. And Rob was the one who kind of convinced me to go out there. And at the time I was upset that I didn't get into Temple, but it turned out it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
You bowled with Scott Schultz. What's the guy's name? The kid from New York. Was that the guy? Alf, was that his name? He didn't
bowl with us, no.
He didn't bowl with you?
No, Steve Novak, you probably think.
That's the guy I'm thinking of. Yep, Steve Novak.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the guy's name. So there we go. So any advice for college, general education, but for bowling as well? We got a kid looking, or he's going to William Patterson. He wants to bowl there. So what can you give Tyler for some advice here? Yeah,
school's number one. So make sure that wherever you're going, the school has the major, the field of study that you're interested in. That is first and foremost it's the most important thing. And when you're up there at school, it's a great time, it's a great experience. But if you want to, for bowling wise, you just got to bowl every tournament you can, whether it be college or if you're when you're off weekends, you're finding little local stuff to bowl. Mm-hmm. That's always my advice to everybody: is just bowl as many things as humanly possible, and try to get some coaching up there, and listen to what people have to say, and you don't have to apply everything they say because you may not agree with everything, but you want to listen. You want to always listen to what people have to say, and then make your own decisions about what you take in and what you don't.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I think has really helped me was definitely experience. Being put in that situation, making match play for the first time, and then making it a couple more times would lead to making the step ladder, and then getting out of the first match, the second match, and then finally leading a tournament, and then I ended up winning. I think experience, without it, you can't just go out there and win. It takes time. And I agree with the experience thing. I think that's one of the biggest things that can help you.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people that all the time. No matter what level you're trying to get at, if you want to get to the next level, you got to learn how to win at the level you're at now. So if that's just small local tournaments, and you're trying to compete in, more statewide tournaments, whatever it is, you have to be able to compete at a high level, where you're at, and then you can move up. And that's why, it's unless you're uber talented, it's very hard to skip steps. And I tell people a lot, I'll see people come out and bowl on the tour, and, I'll talk to them and say, oh, I just bowl leagues. I've never bowled a tournament. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Have you ever bowled a regional? No. Well, why do you think that you can come out and bowl the US Open or the Masters? And it's, there's just no way you can compete against guys who do it for a living.
It's kind of like baseball. You start off in single A, you go to double A, you go to triple A, and then you get that call and you go to play in the big leagues. That's exactly what you're saying.
Yep, that's exactly it. You gotta learn how to win and compete and practice. It's always the old adage, like people just want to talk about practice, but practice is only going to get you so far. You have to compete.
So when you're home, what's your practice routine? I mean, how often are you at the lanes? Are you a big practicer or a casual practicer? Or
I'm a casual practicer. At this point, my answer would have been different in my 20s and probably even in my early 30s, but I'm 38 now, so I've got a lot of mileage on my knees and stuff. So like I try to take some time off here and there when I can. And then, if I'm working on something and I'm trying to add something to my game, that's different. Then I'm putting a lot of time and I'm trying to get the reps in to understand how it feels to do a certain thing. And but I'm at the point now where I kind of know where my body needs to be when I throw it straight and when I want to hook it or when I want to throw it slow or fast. I kind of know where I need to be. So I just kind of I go in, I'll bowl for an hour and work on some things and make sure the timing is right and get out of there, because I have a tendency to lose a lot of focus when I'm practicing and just mindlessly throwing shots. And when you start to do that, you start to develop bad habits too. So you can over practice if you're not paying attention and doing the right things, because then you get really good at doing the wrong things.
Yeah. Well said. All right, Justin, fire with the next one here, bud.
All right. So you started bowling on tour in 2005 when you got your exemption in the tour trials. So what was the biggest difference from bowling any other tour, or the biggest challenge to becoming a full-time PBA Tour member?
For me, it was ball speed. That was the biggest hurdle for me, because bowling college, we back, I don't know how it is now, but we bowled 6 games, with 10 on a pair, with there's no re-oil. So, no matter what pattern was out there, the lanes were cooked by the time the last 3 games happened. So I just overpowered the lane. I threw it harder than everybody. My rev rate was high enough and I was accurate enough that that's just how it worked. And my speed was a real asset. And when I went on tour, I quickly realized that my ball speed was not an asset. It was a detriment. And I really had to work on getting slower. And even when I thought I was throwing it slow, I wasn't. Still throwing it too hard. And it took me a long time to really adjust to that and really get a normal ball speed that was a proper ball speed. When I first started, I would say that my slowest ball speed is probably closer to my hardest ball speed now.
Wow. Interesting. So it took you a couple of years to get your first title. You went to 2009, 2010 was when you got your first title. So almost 5 years. So did you ever have any doubt that you weren't going to get to the winner's circle?
No, I didn't. I just knew that if I kept working at it and I kept improving my game, I saw what I needed to do. I just wasn't doing it. So I was like, all right, I know what I got to do. I just have to keep working at it and keep adding things to my game. And eventually it clicked, and I figured it all out and put myself in the right position physically and mentally, and understood the game more and understood ball choices and how to play the lanes and when to use the certain tools you have in your bag. And putting all those things together, it takes time. And for some guys, they kind of go through like these super peaks and valleys in the beginning of their career. But my career trajectory was a little more linear. It just gradually kept going up and up and up. Then after I reached the top, then I started to come down a little bit and have that. But in the beginning, it was just, just a slow grind process to get to where I would needed to be.
So like you had to develop like your A game, but then you had to have your B, your C, your D game and whatnot. So you worked on everything to get all the different tools in your bag to become a success.
Yeah, because my A game was wholly useless when I came out on tour. Yeah, the thing that I was best at gave me no advantage. Did nothing for me. So I had to relearn how to bowl basically. And it's one thing that frustrates me sometimes when I do like coaching or whatever. If I don't do a whole lot of that now, but when it was like I would tell people something and say, "Oh, well, this is how I bowl." And I'm like, well, that doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm not trying to overhaul your whole game, but there's certain things that you just aren't going to work. And if I'm doing that at the professional level, then somebody who's 170 average can certainly adjust their game to, try to get a little better.
All right. So before we get into our next question, we actually have an interesting one in the comments. With this pandemic happening and when we can officially start bowling again, are you nervous to get back into the sport with everything that is going on?
I think everybody is. Yeah, I think it's natural to be a little nervous. No one knows. I think the uncertainty of it all is what is the most unnerving. We just don't know anything. We don't know when it's going to be that we're going to be able to bowl tournaments, especially in this area. More densely populated areas of the country, and we'll see. I think that there's a lot of conversations happening about safety and protocols, and what people are going to do, and it's a tough question to answer because I don't think anybody really knows, what the next steps are. We don't as professionals, we don't know when our next, tournament is going to be. We're doing some made for TV events, but they're not real tournaments. They're just, we're just showing up and bowling on television. They're not actual full blown events. So,
And I got a question for you on that one. So that thing in Florida in a couple of weeks that you're going down to, are you guys, I don't know what the Florida rules are, but do you have to wear a mask? Are they making you wear a mask when you bowl?
Not when we bowl. We were everybody. The only people that are going to be in the building is the bowlers and the crew.
Mm-hmm.
The all crew will be masked at all times. We will be, I think, required to wear a mask. When we come in, go out, whatever. Like in the we're milling around
or whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when we bowl, it's a big enough center that when we're there practicing, everybody there is gonna have their own pair. So we'll be able to warm up on our own pairs, and then I think they're gonna have everything spaced out on the set enough for all of us, so nobody's really gonna be around each other, and
So the TV guy like Randy and with Rob Stone, they'll be masked during the telecast. That's what you're assuming?
I don't imagine they will be because it'll be a little bit more muffled when they were talking, so they'll probably just be a little more spaced out in a booth.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% on that.
And are the reps allowed to go with you on this event? Like the ball reps from the different companies, are they attending this event as well, or is it just strictly?
I believe we can have one, but with this kind of event, you get 2 minutes to throw a bunch of strikes on, a pattern that's going to be, I imagine, pretty easy. So, there's no ability to drill balls or anything like that. So you're just taking some balls down there and trying to strike on a house shot. So if I can't work that out on my own, then I don't know.
Well, here's a question for you from, speaking of Mr. Bondarchuk earlier. So Gary Bondarchuk chiming in. When you change ball speeds in different conditions, Bill, how do you adjust your timing, or do you keep it the same? And this is talking from the guy who throws rubber up too on everything. So
hey, it's worked for him for like decades.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about Gary as we go on with the interview, but let's answer Gary's question.
So for me, everybody's a little bit different, how they go about things. So this certainly isn't a one size fits all answer here, but for me, it's very much where I start my approach, front to back wise. So when I get up there, whenever I throw my first ball, when I don't know what the pattern is, I'm standing my front part of my toe is at the second set of dots. That's where I base. It's my home base, front set of the dots. And then if I need to throw it slower, I just incrementally move up. And and if I need to throw a little faster, I'll move a little bit further back. Because for me, I'm trying to create a little more momentum with my lower body, and let my swing get a little bit longer when I want to throw it faster, and have my swing get a little bit shorter when I'm trying to throw a little bit slower. So for me, I just If I'm throwing it slower, I try to move up on the approach, and I try to shorten my first 2 steps, and then just kind of let everything fall in place from there.
Good tip.
Good answer. So your first win took place at the U.S. Open in the 2009-2010 season.
Second win.
Second, my bad. His biggest win.
First major, yeah.
Yeah, so you all know what I was saying.
Yeah.
So was that the time that you felt that you were becoming one of the best bowlers in the world, or was it a different time where you realized that?
I think I knew that I had the chance to be a top 5, top 10 player, and the U.S. Open kind of stamped it. So I think it was the year before that I had made like 7 shows, but I hadn't won. And so then I came out the next year, and I made a show early at the World Series and came in like 3rd. And then the next one was my first title, and I made the World Championship show before the U.S. Open. So I had a lot of things going for me then, a lot of TV shows, major telecasts. So when I was able to win the U.S. Open and bowl a big game there, I think that kind of like fully proved to me and was the cherry on the top of saying, hey, you can be something out here. You're one of the better players. And, I just tried to make sure I didn't get complacent after that. And just try to think, oh, I won the US Open, so everything's going to come easy now. So I just tried to make sure I kept motivated and, motivated to get better and, improve.
And you almost made the show, the Open, at an amateur at Carolina, right? You had a big run there. Was it finished 6th there? Was that?
I did, yeah. So that was in 2005.
That was before you were touring, right?
The year Barnes won.
Mm-hmm. And they were ugly that year.
So that was one of the times where my A game at the time certainly benefited me. They were really, really hard. One of the hardest U.S. Opens we've ever bowled. I think it took like less than 210 to make the show, 210 average. So they were, and they, at the end of most of the blocks, they got pretty dry. So they were really hard, and you weren't worrying about trying to make the ball shape at all. It was just, you had to keep it closer to the pocket. So me throwing it hard didn't matter. You kind of had to hit your spot, and the lanes were, they were dry. So it worked out really, really well. And at one point on Saturday, the last day, I think after like 3 games, I was leading. And I looked up at the board, and I was like, geez, what am I doing up here? And I kind of panicked a little bit. I'm like, why am I leading? It's not supposed to be here. And, I just I ran out of gas, and I think I ended up finishing 6th. And they took 4 for the show that year, I think. And it was like one of the greatest bowling experiences of my life, because I didn't expect to make it that far, finish that high, and all of my family and friends were there. So like, I could make the 2-pin, and there was just people cheering all over the place. It was really, really cool. It was a great experience.
All right, so you won the double tournament on tour with some guy from Australia with like a really cool beard, and I think people know who he is. I'm not going to mention his name, but we all know who he is. So, do you put any extra pressure on yourself when you bowl doubles with him, just because of who he is and how good he is? I mean, he's the best bowler on the planet. So, do you have to step your game up a little bit, or are you a little like extra nervous when you're bowling with Belmo?
No, because it's easier because he's one of my best friends. So it makes it easier. If I didn't know him and we were just paired up together, yeah, maybe. But we know that we're going to bowl enough together that we're going to make a lot of the shows. And there's going to be times where he doesn't perform. There's going to be times when I don't perform. Maybe the times I don't perform are greater than the times he doesn't. But there's going to be times where it just happens. That's the way team bowling in any aspect works. So you just have to know that it's all going to even out. You guys are going to bowl. You're both going to bowl good together and bowl bad together. So no, I don't worry too much about. We're going to make fun of each other regardless. So he's going to pick on me if I do good or bad, and vice versa. So it doesn't matter.
Justin, I want to go backwards really quick if I can. You mentioned about Bill getting through tour trials. I know what that is. You know what that is. Yep. Some people that are watching probably don't know what it is. So, Bill, can you explain what tour trials was, since there's no more tour trials?
Yeah. So back then it was the exempt tour. So I didn't bowl the year that I think it was my senior year of college, where they went to okay, this is going to be the last time we have an open field. So the top, I think that maybe first year was like 50 guys were exempt, and then every year on tour after that, it was the top 40. The top 40 guys in the points kept their card, and then they went to guys who made it. I think the point leader in each region, and the regionals got exempt. They had leftover space at the PTQ, the qualifiers every week. They had a few guys get in, and then tour trials. So I think the year that I made it was 10 guys, and what it was we bowled on 5 different patterns. We bowled 9 games a day to get to 45 games, and the top 10 pinfall got their exemption, and I finished last. I think I struck in the 10th to win, or not to win, to finish 10th and get my card. And it's one of the things that's crazy thing to think about, like a wild what if for me. Like if I think I messengered the 10 out to make it, and if that goes in front of it, how different would my career in life be? It's a crazy thing to think about.
Would you have PTQ'd that year if you were 11th?
Yes, probably. I was, really lucky. I've been a really lucky, fortunate person throughout my whole career. Bowling. I had a great support system at my home, at home with my mom and dad. They said, "Hey, listen, you can stay here as long as you need to. Go and try to pursue your dream." They sacrificed a lot when I was younger to give me that opportunity. So they wanted me to see it through as far as I could. So I had that opportunity to do that, and I probably would have done it if I didn't make it through.
Yeah, that's really interesting how you say you bowled 45 games and you struck the last shot to make it. I mean, people talk about how like never giving up, but that's like a prime example of it when you're bowling that many games and you have to strike on the last ball to make it by 1.
Yeah, it was a crazy last game, and I was like pretty safely into the top 10 with like maybe 5 games to go. We were bowling on Cheetah, and they were easy, and I couldn't bowl more than 210, and I started just sliding down the board. And Brian Smith, I believe, was and Bob Learn were both close to me. I can't remember if I was in the number or out of the number. I think I might have been 10th going to the last game, or maybe 11th, and Brian's pair was to the right of me, and they were finishing before we did, and he left the 4-7-10 in the 10th, and so I did the math, and I was like, all right, well, I only need a mark now. So I was like, all right, he's split. I need a mark, and then he made it.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So he made the 4-7-10, and then I was like, oh, and that like shocked me, and like mentally now I'm trying to regroup because now I needed to fill like 18 instead of just needing to fill 10. And so I'm like, oh geez. So I think, I had to get the first one. I needed like strike 7 out or something. I needed the first one to strike. And then I needed count in the 11th. And it was an emotional roller coaster for sure.
And there were a lot of guys, and people that don't know that there were a lot of really good bowlers that did not get through. Randy Peterson bowled, didn't get through. That's the one that sticks out. I think Hoskins was another one who didn't get through.
That was his first year. The first year they ran tour trials, because we had him on. He was our first live guest. Yeah, he said that he was in the top. He was in that top number, whatever it was, for the last 8 or 9 seasons, and he had one off season, and he had to bowl tour trials, and he was the president of the players committee at the time, and he didn't bowl good at trials and couldn't bowl, so he had to find a new job, and that was basically why he stopped bowling on the tour. Was when they implemented that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the year that I made it, Rash didn't make it. We were both at the same time, both just first coming out. So Rash did make it. Bob Learn, Osku. There was a couple of the younger guys that did make it at the same time. So yeah, it was there was a lot of talent in there, and it was a pretty big field. You have trying to bowl 45 games. You're out there for a week to try to have an exemption for an entire tour season. So it was
you're basically bowling you're bowling for your salary. Basically, you're bowling for your job. That's exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, we were guaranteed $2,000 a week at the time for like 16 regular events, and there was 4 majors, and then plus your whatever you can get in a ball contract at that time, and there was a lot of money riding on on those tour travels. It's a pretty intense scene.
A lot of money running on that one shot for you in the 10th.
Yeah. Sometimes it gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
So before we go into our 10 frames of questions, we do have one pretty interesting one in the chat. What is your most memorable bowling experience, and where did it take place?
Oh man, it's hard to pick one.
Then give us a few.
I'll give you a couple. So this past year Players Championship is certainly up there. That was something I'll never ever forget. That was really cool to be able to double in the 10th to win a major, and after finishing second the week before, that was something that's going to be it's the event that kind of solidified my place and in the potential Hall of Fame and all that kind of thing, and so that one's really special. Kind of an off the radar one would be bowling for Team USA. I think it was 2010 World Championships. We were in Germany, and we were bowling Finland for the gold medal, and it was match was like it's like an hour long because it's 2 5-man teams, and it was really close the whole time. And Tommy Jones struck in the 10th for us to win the gold medal, and that was one of the coolest experiences of my life. And that was my first year on bowling for Team USA at the World Championships, and being able to bowl with some of your best friends. It was me, Tommy, Chris Barnes, Patrick Allen, Wes Malott, and Rhino. So it was really, really cool experience, and to get to share that with your with some of your best friends is you don't get to do that every day. So I'll definitely cherish that moment.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So Justin, should we kick it into gear with the final 10?
We can do that, or we actually have
another one.
Questions coming.
We do have a couple.
More from Gary.
More from Bonner Truck. Do we have anything else from Bonner Truck?
I think we got his.
Yeah, we did get Gary.
I know. Has he got any more? He's an interesting fellow. I want to hear some more from Gary.
You want to start with Gary's question for the 10 frames questions?
We can start, and so let's do the final 10, and then we'll answer some more questions as we go along. With people be chatting. And so, Bill, we go one-on-one with me now.
Okay.
I got 10 random ones. Anything goes. We want to get some real dirt here, so
right.
we don't care if we offend anybody. You can let it fly. We don't really care.
It's just us here, right?
It's not terrestrial radio. I don't really care, So, Justin, we're going to start off with number one. One of my staple questions here. So, you're out to dinner with a bunch of guys on tour. Who's the guy most likely to sneak out and not pay his part of the bill?
Oh,
and now wait. No,
So
you're at the dinner. You go, any guys on tour? Guy sneaks out. Now I've asked this question to a bunch of guys, and the same name always comes up for some reason.
Yeah.
I want to see if Bill follows in this.
So that you're probably talking about Barnes. Is that? So Barnes is. I'll answer the question, but I will tell you about Barnes. Barnes is on the cheaper side, but never has he ever been cheap with me. Never been.
Callahan said the same thing.
Well, because Callahan's picking on him, but he is like Barnes is cheap with himself. He's not cheap with his friends. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't do that.
He's frugal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Belmo is the person who would do that, and I'll tell you why. Because he's A, really forgetful,
okay,
and B, he's always on the phone. He's always talking to somebody. Whether it be his family or he's got somebody that's producing his a movie for him or something, where he's always on the phone. So you never finish a meal, rarely, without him being on the phone. So he's like, oh, I got to take this, and then he leaves, and then I'm sitting there, and all right, we'll just pay the bill. And then I walk out and I give him one of these, and he gets in the car, and then later on he's like, oh, did you get it? I'm like, yeah, I got it. But he'll always get me back. But he is definitely the guy who would walk out without paying.
Well, that's a new one there, Justin. We'll add Belmo to the list then.
Yeah. So before we go to the next one, as you mentioned Belmo's name, we got a question in the chat. Mm-hmm. How did you and Belmo hook up and become good friends?
We're similar age, and so like we bowled a lot of the high roller mini eliminator stuff together before we went out on tour. So I've known him since long before I bowled on the tour, and I don't even remember the day where we started hanging out. I have no idea. It's been so long, but we just kind of always kind of gravitated toward each other. And I was really good friends, still am, with Tim Mack. So Tim and Jason were friends. So like we kind of like, mutually just kind of that's how we met, was basically through Timmy probably. And we all hung out, and then he came on tour. And, as somebody who travels, internationally a lot, I understand what it's like to feel alone when you're traveling and be in a foreign place and where you don't know people, you don't really necessarily know how to get around. So, when he started bowling over here a lot, he would come around with Mike Fagan and I, and we kind of made sure he would be able to get to place because, we knew how that could feel. So that's how we, and then, now Mike doesn't bowl anymore. So now it's my responsibility.
So you're like his babysitter, basically.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, don't go anywhere. I want Bonnerchuck to stay here and listen. We're going to be talking about Gary momentarily. And I remember watching Belmo the first time was in Samstown at the Roller. This guy was a skinny guy, and he had checkered pants, like green checkered pants on. And everybody would talk about, like, see this guy throw it with 2 hands? And I'm like, no. And everybody like kind of circulated around Samstown, and that was the first time like he really became like a name. Nobody ever seen that style before. That was before Oscu made his show, and everybody was like gravitating toward the Belmo pair. And here's this guy, he had no beard, spiky hair all over the place, and he had checkered pants on. Like, he looked like a tool. Not, to be honest, he looked like, who the hell is this guy? And he made it look so easy. And, it's really cool to watch him like progressing through the years to what he is now. So are we going number 2, Justin?
Go for it.
Another one of the staple ones, and I don't think he's going to answer the least favorite one, which he's won in this building before. Favorite and least favorite center to bowl on tour?
Oh, favorite center. We don't bowl there anymore, but Carolier was always my favorite.
Hometown advantage, right?
So yeah, pretty much. I bowled well there, but mostly because everybody, I could sleep in my own bed. A lot of family there, a lot of friends. That was the most enjoyable. Always the most enjoyable experience was bowling there. Least favorite center.
Now, again, the same center has always been answered, but I don't think you're going to answer what you won in this building.
Geez. I won there. Oh, the people don't like Fire Lake?
No.
No, that was the answer.
I don't know. I don't keep track, to be honest with you, because I don't want to. Like, I try to mentally get that stuff out of my head, so when I walk into places, I don't assume I'm going to bowl bad because I don't like the center. So I don't really worry about that stuff too much, and I don't really get wrapped up in the, what my least favorite patterns are, bowling centers. I just try to kind of take each one as its own.
So can we get your opinion on the center that everybody hates to bowl at?
Yeah,
Woodland.
Well, that's like that would have been. If Carolier didn't exist, that would have been my favorite center.
How many people, Justin, have said Woodland Bowl is just the hardest place to bowl at on tour?
They have said that a lot. They say your ball hooks early a lot, and the corners are very hard to get out. And that's been said by multiple.
Yeah.
And Bill won the U.S. Open there, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, I think I made another show or two there. That the place is great. I love going in there because, like, aesthetically, it's an awesome place.
Yeah,
really, really beautiful center. It's a nice part of town. Like, I don't have any problems. I'd bowl every tournament there if we could.
All right, so let's go to 3. What's your most embarrassing moment bowling on tour?
Oh God, so many.
We want some good ones here.
Trying to think embarrassing moments bowling on tour. Like, they're just but that not like the run of the mill like. Regular stuff.
I'll give you an example. So I bowled the Open at Carolier in 2006, and I was in practice session. I was on a pair with Jeff Carter, and it was like 10 minutes in the practice session, and Jeff Carter and me were at the ball return, and he points down. He's like, "Hey, bud, look down." I'm looking down, and I tore my pants from my crotch to my kneecap. So I got 10 minutes.
I did that. I've done that before. Didn't even register as an embarrassing moment. That's how many I had. Like, it was in a practice session as well. I don't know what happened. I threw a shot and like I heard I'm like, oh,
I did that in college.
Good. I cut my practice short and I had to get back to change my pants.
I did that in college, and we're on a pair with Vincennes. And when Ronnie bowled for Vincennes, We were bowling somewhere in Indianapolis or St. Louis. I went to Moorhead, so we bowled like the Midwest. And Ronnie came over with a stapler from the front counter, and he was helping me staple my khakis up on Sunday. So yeah, I've done it twice. That would be mine, but you gotta have something better than that.
I'm trying to think. Like, I don't have any like obvious ones like Josh Blanchard on the lane or things like that. I've done so many things. I've hit my ankle and thrown in the gutter. I bowled, sub 120 games.
I'll give you mine.
Go for it.
And Mike's heard this one too. I've said this before on the air. We're bowling junior gold in 2018 in Dallas, and I'm bowling pretty good. I'm 30 over for the first 5 games of the tournament. This was the second round, and I'm playing out by the gutter, and I just bowled 190, so I knew it was already hooking. Start off the game, double, throw it in the gutter. Okay. Everyone always goes Brooklyn after they do it, and I wasn't afraid to throw it there again because I just bowled 190. Throw it in the gutter again. Get up on the left lane, strike again. Get up on the right lane, throw it in the gutter again for the third time. Make the spare, get up and strike on the left lane. So I have 70 in the 5th with double gutter, strike, gutter, spare, strike.
Happens.
Yeah. See, I thought that I didn't know that story was over because it's not that embarrassing. It's just, the gutter balls, like to me, like gutter balls aren't embarrassing. It's just now you can place them in the wrong time and they would be embarrassing.
That is true.
Depending on the timing of the whole thing. But yeah, we do this long enough. You've seen everything. I've seen everything. I don't know what would be left that I would be like, oh, I feel bad for that guy. This happened. Like we've all done so many ridiculous things.
I think Bill was there too in Vegas when you're at the High Roller. One of our friends from New York, Joe Stillman, I think it was like in the final 8, and I think he needed like 7 to win his match, and he got 6, and he kind of Hulk Hogan his shirt. Were you there for that when he did that?
I don't think I was there.
But you know what I'm talking about. I've heard the story. And
the worst story that I ever heard. This is bad. This is embarrassing.
This is what we want to hear.
Luigi Di Costanzo. I don't know if you remember Luigi. He used to sponsor people at the High Rollers. He was lives in Brooklyn. Short little Italian guy, left-handed guy, and he wasn't very good, but he loved to come out to Vegas. He was a cool guy, and he was bowling the roller, and he won like 3 or 4 matches. So now he's like decent ways into the tournament. He's cashed, and you used to go up and you used to draw your slip for the next round. It would have the time on it and your lane. Draws his slip. He says, "All right, I'm getting to this match. I'm getting there early. I'm gonna watch the round before me. I'm gonna sit there at this pair. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna see if there's any lefties." Taking it real serious. He's sitting there and practice is going. He's like, "There's only 3 people on this pair. Where is this guy?" So he sat there and he watched this whole match, and a guy in like the 5th round of the High Roller got a bye. The person didn't show up, and it was Luigi that didn't show up. He read the time wrong on his sheet, and he was sitting there right behind his pair the whole time, and never went down to the lanes to bowl. He thought he bowled the next hour. And he was the whole time saying how stupid the person was for not showing up, and it was him.
That's a fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good one.
That's a good one.
That's something that would give me that, like, I get nightmares thinking about that. I've had nightmares.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. So let's continue with the next one, since we're talking about embarrassing stuff here. How much is your son obsessed with fart noises?
He's 7. That's his whole life. My daughter's 2. I think she likes it more, but the fart jokes always land in the house. They just you can make it. The kids laugh, and that's it.
It never stops, and they get does he play with slime, like the fart slime noises?
No, I see. I hate slime so much that I try to avoid getting it and keep it in the house. If somebody gets it as a present, I immediately try to throw it in the trash.
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old daughter. She's obsessed with it. Like if it's here, it's in the garbage. Like I can't stand it. But,
I hate it. It gets everywhere. It gets on the carpet. I'm out.
Even with her though, she loves the fart noises. So I know I heard Gavin is obsessed with the farting noise.
Yeah.
So all right. So let's go to 5. I think the story before. What's your best amateur bowling story?
Oh,
the Luigi one was pretty good. I got to give it that.
I can't top. I don't think I top that. My best, like that I was a part of, Or
either one. I mean, either you or one.
Well, I think he gave his best one. I think
the Luigi. I'm never going to top that Luigi one. That's the best one.
I don't know. All right.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything. I won the tat at like 5 o'clock in the morning one year. That was pretty cool. That was pretty. Everything always used to run really late all the time.
Texas Station. You want to Texas Station?
Yeah. I remember going to have. I think I was with. I forget who I was with. Maybe Rob. I don't know. Maybe. And after I won, we went to like wherever we were staying, whatever hotel that was. And we're having breakfast. And like.
And one of the years I was out there, Justin, and I hit 5 of a kind on a video poker machine, and I was going absolutely berserk on the casino floor. And Bill walked by me, and he looked at me, and he called me. I think Bill might have had a couple in him, and he called me an expletive and walked away. He kept laughing at me. So thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Is it Bill than me?
Yeah, you.
Oh yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, no, that is true. I was jumping up and down. I won like $500. Yeah, I won like $500. I'm jumping up like a maniac, and Bill walked by. Look at this asshole, and he kept walking away. Yeah, all right, thanks, bud. I appreciate that. So let's go to 6. Who's the best bowler you've bowled with or against that never went on tour?
That never won on tour.
They never went on.
Oh, never went on tour.
Yeah, they could have won on tour. Yeah, so yeah.
Let me think.
And when we bowled, and I'm 37, so we're the same age. We bowled with a lot of good bowlers in juniors in our area. I mean, when Van Hees bowled with us, and Alex and O'Grady. I mean, there was a lot of talented guys when we bowled youth.
One of the people that pops in my head first that we bowled with when we were younger that was really good was Don Pyle.
I remember him from Maryland, right?
Yeah, Delaware.
Delaware, that's right.
He's super smart, so he's working man and does well. So he didn't need bowling. Andrew Koff was another one.
He threw really good.
Really good. Really good. Another smart kid that's doing his own thing now. Doesn't need bowling, but he was somebody who was really good. Yeah, there was a lot of guys in both JBTs with that were really good. Even Rob Piershad, Ryan Snyder.
Scott Thornton's another one. I remember Scott
Thornton was good.
Does Robbie Spigner still bowl? There's a name for you.
Spigner, no, he doesn't. Not much anymore. Another guy's super smart, doing really well.
Brian Komornick, there's another one I'll give you.
Yeah, Brian. He's I haven't seen him in a while, but he was in Chicago last night. He was living out that way.
All right, so let's go to the next one. So as we go from smart people to not so smart,
okay.
Joe Stillman.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Joe Stillman story? So Justin, I don't know if you know who Joe is. Joe is. Can I describe him as like you ever see Ghostbusters, Justin?
Yeah.
You know the big marshmallow guy in Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
That's what Joe looks like.
Okay.
And Joe's a lefty, and he would just get all over it. I mean, there's no other way to describe it, right, Bill? I mean, Joe just
he's goofball, really, funny dude.
Yeah. He'll give you the shirt off his back.
Mega temper. So he had world-class temper, and I don't remember the exact moment where this happened, but at Carolier, you had that like 3 steps down into the bowlers area, and so they had those like the bars, the metal bars that go down from the top 10 to the settee area, and he a couple times literally ripped them and bent them. And so if you we went back one year and they had like basically like brackets, like these S-shaped like attachments in between all of the bars because he kept bending them.
Were you there at the Super Hoinky with his 710 story? Do you know? I obviously know this.
Yeah, yes, that one has been told so many times. But yes, that is the quintessential
Joe Stillman
story. And like it's one of those stories that when I hear people tell it's not exaggerated. Like the story that floats around is what happened. Nothing is really. It's hard to exaggerate that story.
Can you share that for young Mr. Bohn? I'm sure he doesn't know the story.
It was a long time ago, so I'm sure there's a little bit of pieces I'm missing. But and
I'm going to back up really quick, Bill. Joe also throws at like 27 miles an hour. Like
throws pretty hard.
He throws it very hard.
And so he he had done this bet before where it was like so many 710s out of 100. And we were at the Super Hoinky, and that was the tournament where people used to bowl all hours of the night, ball in action and all types of, goofy things. And they wanted to start this bet up. And I believe he had to get the 4. I think it was the over-under was either 3.5 or 4.5, but whatever. We all knew Joe, so a lot of us, bet on it. And I was a young kid at the time, so I bet a little bit because I didn't have any money, but I was pretty confident he was going to get there. And he had heard rumblings that people wanted to do this bet, so he was scouting the pairs out a little bit and like knew which lane bounced more than others, and he wanted to, so he got his lane and took a couple warm up shots. Said he was ready to go, and he made the first one. Boom, bang! Right, you need to make like 4 out of 100. First one.
Checking in. There it is.
First one, bang. We're like, is this really gonna? He just banged out the first one, and then I believe he made like the 7th one, and then he made another one like not that long after, and then he had a long gap. So he had like 3 within like 20 tries. Well, then he started running out of steam a little bit, and he was missing the 7-pin a lot because he was trying to just throw it as hard as he could, and he would try to take some breaks here and there, and he started running out of steam. And I think he had one in like the 40s that bounced out, went right in front. And I think he made like it's still in like the 50 range where he made the 4th one. And I remember Tim Mack just running on the lane, and like, dude, Joe's a big dude. He had to be at the time probably 300 pounds.
4 bills probably. I mean,
I don't think he wasn't quite that heavy at the time, but 300 for sure. And Tim picked him up. He was so excited. He picked him up like he didn't weigh anything. And
wow.
He's like 6'5" too, Justin.
It was quite a scene. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like that.
Timmy bet him at the high roller one year. He couldn't eat 100 chicken nuggets in 20 minutes at Samstown, and that was he destroyed that. So let's get off of Joe Stillman because we could go on for another hour about Joe Stillman's story. Let's go to number 8, a local guy who we talked about him before. How does Gary Bondarchuk make a rubber ball hit harder than every other person's reactive ball? How is that possible?
If people knew the answer to that question, they could replicate it.
It is unbelievable.
People, if you don't know Gary is a Bucks County legend.
A multi-regional champion, very good player.
Yeah, he's a legend. His name is everybody around my area knows who Gary is, and he is famous for literally just picking balls off of the rack and just beating people with them. Like he would just walk into centers and be like, "Oh, I used to use this ball," and just pull it off the rack, and 289 win a pot and lig or something. Like he would just do that all the time. And he didn't really use much of the reactive stuff. He's a lefty, likes to play a little straighter, and all the balls he picked off the rack worked out just fine for him.
Yeah, he bowled in our league this year in Howell, and the one week Gary comes in, 2 brand new target zones. He shoots 300 the first game. He balls up to a stinger. I mean, how old is a stinger? 15, 20 years. Like that old school resin. Pulls a $180, $190. Goes back into his bag, takes out an original black angle, the original black angle, and shoots 300 with it. So he went from plastic to resin to urethane, and it's unbelievable. His ball hits harder than any bowling ball that I can throw, that Justin can throw. It's unbelievable. Like, how the hell does this guy do it? It's unreal.
He's the only guy still around that would even know the progression with those balls and be like, oh, I should switch to this one.
Yeah, and he laughs about it. Like, oh, I should have never switched to resin. Switched to resin. He went from plastic to resin. It's unreal. Justin, you watched it all year. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I watch it all the time.
And it's like dut, 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 and it's like a snow plow. It just hits the pin. Unreal. All right, let's go to 9. Enough about Bondarchuk, because I'm going to start getting disgusted.
Do you have any questions about righties? No.
No, not really.
Right.
So, what's the one event you would want to win that you haven't won yet?
Tournament champions.
TOC.
Yeah, pretty easily. It's just the, it holds a special place for me. It was an event that I couldn't bowl for a long time because, when I started, you had to actually have a title to bowl it. And so I didn't get to bowl it for, 4 or 5 seasons on tour. And it was really special to me just to be able to compete in the event. So to be able to, I came close this year and led it. And so, that's definitely definitely the next one up for me.
That's the bucket list tournament, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's go to 10. So, God forbid if your career was to end tomorrow, would Bill O'Neill be satisfied or dissatisfied with what he's done up to that point?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Because I think, if I stop bowling right now, I would be ecstatic, thrilled with the way everything went. But at the same time, I feel like I've underachieved, if that can make any sense. I feel like I left a lot out there. I feel like there was tournaments that I should have won that I didn't. There were shows I should have made that I didn't. And I think it took me longer to win than it probably should have. So I think that if I would be really, really happy, because when I first started, I would have never imagined being somebody who would even be considered for the Hall of Fame. So that it would be no matter what happens from here on out, I'm super happy with my career as a whole. But I think it's just the competitor in me will always feel like a little bit like I've underachieved a little bit.
Good stuff. So, Justin, we got some in the chat, so why don't you take some of these chat questions on here, and we'll start to wrap it up a little bit.
I think this is how we should end this one. You were asking about a right-hander story. We got a question in the chat. Your best Pete Weber story.
I haven't really hung out with Pete, so I don't really have any like Pete. Okay, I do. This is Pete. Pete sometimes can get angry at the crowd.
No, not there.
One time I think it was in Columbus, and we were at a small center in Columbus. This is before we bowled at Wayne Webb's, and this was a tiny place, and the stands were right on top of us. And so, everywhere we would go,
I know this one.
Everybody loved Pete. Like no matter where he would, people cheering for him, no matter where he went. So I think he had a string going, and he left the big four. And as he was coming back, somebody yelled, "We love you, Pete!" And he pointed up at him and he said, "Shut up!" And then somebody else yelled out, "It's all right, Pete. We don't worry about it. We love you. You shut up too." I'm gonna shut up, and they were trying to encourage him. It's one of those stories we tell all the time because it's so ridiculous. It's so funny.
All right, let's
go. That same place, I had somebody tell me, because the stands were so close, I was waiting for my turn, and a woman was sitting in the first row of bleachers, and she tapped me on my leg, and I turned around, and I had to look because they're so close. I had to look down, and I said yes, and she said, "Can you move? I'm trying to watch Norm." And I was like, "Oh." I was in so much shock that never anybody tell me to move while I was competing before, and so I was like, "Yeah, all right, I'm you want to see Norm slide out of the way." I didn't know what to do. I was in shock.
All right, let's go up a little more here, Justin. I'm going to pick one out here, right?
All you.
Here's one. This is more recent. So, since Hammer and EBI have been brought up by Brunswick, are you going to be straying more away from the Hammer stuff, or throwing the Big B stuff, or a little combination of both? So,
yeah, it'd be a combination of both. I mean, I don't have any plans to move away from the Brunswick Corporation and Hammer. I mean, I have a good relationship with everybody there, and things are going well. So as far as that, I have no intention of of leaving or exploring options or anything like that. I'm pretty happy, and yeah, I mean, I would be throwing all the brands. I threw a lot of track stuff at the World Series and a lot of the new Hammer products, along with some of the older Brunswick products. So we have a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of balls to use, and yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Was it a hard transition, learning the new company? Every brand is different. So when you were able to throw the Brunswick stuff or the Radical stuff, was it a hard transition to learn the shapes of their stuff compared to what the EBI stuff was?
Yeah, a little bit. Because you're just trying to learn. Yeah, when you're talking about bowling on tour, the difference between 30th and making the show is it's not a whole lot. yeah, there's a lot of pins that are in between there, but like you find that right shape, your confidence goes up, you can make better shots. It's a very fine line. And so when you're trying, the first like month of the tour season, I struggled because I was still trying to place some of the new balls with some of the older balls, and then trying to, there was so much product, you got overwhelmed with how much stuff there was. And so you can't possibly drill everything and multiples of every ball. So you're just trying to narrow down what it is that you like and the shapes that you like to see. And once I kind of figured it out, it became a little bit easier. But yeah, the transition was tough. And I think it's kind of the timing of it. Everything happened like, month and a half before we started. So I think that was probably the biggest reason for that.
And speaking of the equipment, there was a question up here. What is your favorite sphere of all time?
Most of the balls that I always go back to as my favorite all have the Black Widow core. So the original Black Widow, the Black Widow Legend, the Blue Taboo, those were like my three favorite balls, and they all have the same coordinate. I'd say the Black Legend was probably up there, but the Blue Taboo got me.
Got to where you were.
Yeah, there was I had a lot of success with that one.
And here's another one. Justin's more familiar with this. So will the new weight hole rule affect the way you drill your stuff now?
You just experiment a little bit. I mean, there's so many balls and so many different types of balls. You can find certain shapes just using a different ball. I think people are really, really concerned about it, but it's for the tour. If everybody's using balls without weight holes in it, it's not that big of a deal. Just put pins in different spots to make the balls flare more, and use balls that flare more on their own. And I'm not too worried about it, to be honest with you.
And how about we get off the topic of that, and let's go to we'll do one more, right, Justin?
Sounds good.
How do you balance your tour life with your family now?
So it's a tough balance, and I had to stop doing certain things that I would have done before kids. And mostly that's bowling regionals. This is one thing that I've totally cut out of of my career, because you're trying to balance everything. You want to make sure that when you leave the house and you're going places that it's worthwhile. So we're busy enough typically in the summer with we work Junior Gold, and got Bowl Expo, and we have the PBA League. And so like, we do a lot of stuff in the wintertime, with bowling. So like I just cut out certain non-PBA, even the PBA regionals and then other non-PBA events that I would have bowled. I would have bowled otherwise. And, I'm really fortunate that, my wife does a decent job. She works hard, and I don't have to go out and grind away at weekend events, because I'm trying to, support the whole family. I mean, she does a lot of that on her own. So I think, I owe it to them to kind of slow it down a little bit in the summertime when she's not teaching, and, spend as much time with them as possible.
Good stuff.
All right.
Good stuff.
So one more time, tell us where we can find the information about the Mooresville Lanes fundraiser.
Do you want to put that up there again? It's at Mooresville Lanes Facebook page. It's you just stumped me there. Let me find it. There you go.
So there you go, Mooresville Lanes Facebook page. Check it out. If you want to help them out, please go to their Facebook page, Mooresville Lanes. Bill is involved in that, and anything that you guys can do to help them would be greatly, greatly appreciated.
And you can win cool stuff. So it's it's a great thing to donate, but you can also come away with this and with some cool items.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So Justin, I'm good. If you're good, let's.
I'm all good. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Thank you, Bill O'Neill, for joining us today. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to like the page and follow us so every time that we go live. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel. But as for now, that's it. Thanks, Bill O'Neill, once again. I'm Justin Bohn with my partner, Mike Val, and this is the Bohn N Zano Zone, where we are always on the lanes, off the charts, and on the mic.
See you guys on Saturday.